Streaming live on the KREF app.
The Ref Sports Radio Network.
Live from the Buffalo Wild Wings studios, it's time to get locked into the best Sooner recruiting and football news with Parker Thune and Grayson Singleton.
You better lock it up. No, you lock it up. You lock it up. Lock it up.
Hit the guys up on the Riverwind Casino call-in line at 405-329-9000 or text the show at 405-651-3439.
Do it! Just do it!
Now, with Locked In, here's Parker Thune and Grayson Singleton.
Well, it's the first show of the off-season, folks. This is Locked In on the Ref, the home of Sooner fans. 405-651-3439 is how you chime in throughout the hour on the text line. Parker Thune out here at Cavens Group. Grayson Singleton back in the Buffalo Wild Wings studios. And Oklahoma's charmed, magical 2025 season ran out of steam on Friday night at the hands of Alabama. The clock struck midnight on the Cinderella run that was Red November for this Oklahoma football team, and their season is extinguished 34-24 at Owen Field as the Crimson Tide finally get the Crimson Monkey, if you will, off their back and knock off Oklahoma. Kalen DeBoer's first win over Brent Venables as a head coach, and it is the Tide and not the Sooners that will be moving on to the Rose Bowl to face number 1 Indiana on New Year's Day. And Grayson, I mentioned this in the 12 o'clock hour with Steely, but I truly thought that going into Friday's game, there was not an outcome that could really, not a realistic outcome that could really hurt that badly for this fan base. I mean, the Sooners had already gone 10-2, already outpaced most everyone's expectations for their 2025 campaign. It felt like, okay, anything that happens in the CFP, that's just kind of the cherry on top of the sundae that has been an excellent season for Brent Venables and the Sooners, and boy, was I wrong, because losing a game that you led 17-0 midway through the second quarter, and not just a game that you led 17-0, but thoroughly dominated to the tune of 181 total yards to your opponent's 12 after about 20 minutes of play. Man, what a devastating way to end what was otherwise a spectacular football season by most any standard in Norman America.
And it was kind of a fitting way, too, if you consider this. And we've talked about it briefly in spots during the year. But Oklahoma, I think, had a problem with delivering the kill shot, with putting teams away this season. Because no matter when they had an advantage in certain games, you go back to the Ole Miss game. They take the lead, you get the punt to Isaiah Satania. What happens? Isaiah Satania fumbles it, gives it right back to Ole Miss. It's things like that throughout the course of the season. South Carolina hung around a little bit longer than most of us would have been comfortable with. LSU hung around a little bit more than people would want to be comfortable with. So it all kind of culminated in this interesting way, and I thought about this on Saturday night, was that Oklahoma's inability to really put a team away is the glaring next step that this team needs to take going forward. They figured out the skill of figuring out ways to win. That cannot be taken from them. That was a progression that they made this year, is that you go to the Alabama game, the Tennessee game, and whatnot, and you're figuring out ways to win. And that is a skill that they learned and got adept at this year. But there is another part of the progression left, and that is when it's time to put a team away, you put a team away. You're up 17-0, and then you just have a cabal of back-breaking mistakes, one after another after another. Robinson can't haul in the pass. Grayson Miller drops the punt. And then obviously the pick six, where you could hear a cricket in the stadium after that. So it's just things like that where you look at it, obviously we're projecting forward today, and you think, okay, what's next for Brent Venables and this crew? And what's next is putting the final nail in the coffin and burying a team to where they can't come back and overcome the hole that they've already dug themselves into.
I think you said it. Very fitting way for Oklahoma's season to end because they finally got themselves into a situation where there wasn't quite enough margin for all of the errors that they made. And yet, you're right. They found ways to win throughout Red November. They found ways to get over the hump and stay one step ahead of the opposition throughout the final 4 games of the regular season that put them in position to host a first-round CFP game. But it was so imperfect, and it was so sporadic, it was so erratic at times that you just kind of had the feeling, okay, like this is bound to catch up to this team at some point, right?
Exactly.
And in fact, it did. Now, I will say this, Grayson, there's been a lot of discussion. There's been a lot of discourse surrounding one particular play in this football game that many have perceived as a mistake on the part of John Mateer. And look, the biggest mistake that John Mateer made, and it's not even close, was the pick 6 to Xavier Brown.
Of course.
You have no idea what he's thinking on that play because even if Keontez Lewis runs the route that he anticipates Keontez Lewis was running on that play, I still think it's 6 the other way for Xavier Brown because he was sitting all over that throw from John Mateer.
Yeah, and
it was completely telegraphed. I mean, like there was no – it was almost just like – there was no thought that went into the throw. It's almost like he had it predetermined in his head. Okay, even before the snap, I'm going here with the ball. And, man, you saw the result. It was the play that more than any other changed the game and changed the momentum in that football game on Friday night. But there's been so much discussion, oddly, about whether John Mateer should have thrown that pass to Xavier Robinson downfield on what I believe was a 3rd and 6. The Sooners led 17-7 at the time. Mateer scrambles. He's got a lot of running room in front of him. He's running to his left, and so he's got to kind of reach back across his body to make the throw and fires it on a rope 40 yards downfield to Xavier Robinson. It hits him in the hands, falls incomplete. Then on the next play, Grayson Miller botches the snap on the punt, and it just kind of all snowballs from there. But I'm kind of – I find it kind of jarring how many people I have seen characterize that play as a poor decision from John Mateer. And you can feel free to weigh in here because I'd love to know your candid thoughts. But to me, how can you criticize a quarterback? How can you second-guess a quarterback for throwing what ought to have been a 50-plus yard touchdown pass, putting it literally in the perfect spot for his receiver? Hits him in both hands.
Yeah.
If Xavier Robinson reels it in, he's walking into the end zone. And yet there are so many folks that in the aftermath are saying, well, he should have just tucked it and run.
It was a good decision. First of all, the decision I think was the appropriate one because you see a guy open running away from a defender downfield. You make that throw. You want your quarterback to make that throw 100% of the time. Here's what I disagree with, Parker. I do not think that was a perfect ball. It was a good ball. It was a catchable ball. But if you look at Xavier Robinson, who's a 240-pound running back, who on a dead sprint had to reach down to get it. It's not as if John laid it right on his chest, right on his numbers. That wasn't the case. He had to reach down to try to make the play. So is it going to be categorized ultimately as a drop? Yes, probably would. But that's a lot more difficult of a catch than to say that it was a perfect throw, because it was not. He got it there. He gave his receiver a chance, but it was not the easiest ball to catch when it comes to that. That still being said, I would have rather John Mateer done exactly what he did 100% of the time. You make that throw. You need a big play. It seems as if Alabama's looking like they're going to try to get back into this game. Go make the play if you see a receiver streaking down the field. I have no problem with him making the play, but the throw was a little bit difficult to catch. Now, back to the interception. I do want to comment on this, Park. On that interception, you know what makes that whole play so much worse?
What's that?
Is that, yes, you're right, it was predetermined where he was going to go. The defense told on itself pre-snap.
Mm-hmm.
They gave the cover zero look, and then right before the snap, what did Bray Hubbard do? Bray Hubbard vacated the box to go cover the deep half. That should have told John. Like, that is elementary quarterbacking. Like, that should have told John, all right, cool, it's cover 2. Let me eliminate this whole entire part of the play. Like, that should have been completely not even a discussion with Mateer. So when you're, again, projecting forward here, when you're talking about how he needs to get better, it's things like, it's little elementary things like that, where if the safety bails, you've got to know, okay, that's cover 2. Xavion Brown is going to be squatting on anything. Even if Keontez runs the hook route, that whole part of the play should be aborted at that point in time. So that's going to be just more and more that he's going to have to work on. There's a lot that this team can build on that they showed in this game, but they're going to have to build upon it.
Here's the way I kind of think about the throw to Robinson, and really what that entire play entailed from Mateer's end is I try to have an appreciation and a recognition for how difficult it is to play the quarterback position at game speed in real time and make all of those decisions on the fly, because it's very, very easy for you and me and anyone else to break down that play in the aftermath, looking at slow-mo replay and diagram it with telestration and say, okay, yeah, Mateer's rolling out here. He's got this receiver here, this receiver here, this receiver here. And he's got to know that this is Xavier Robinson, a running back. And he's probably not as safe of a bet to catch the pass as a tight end or a wide receiver. But, like, in that moment, do you think John Mateer is really processing the fact that's Xavier Robinson. That's a running back. I shouldn't throw this ball. No, what he's thinking is, okay, that is a highly paid scholarship football player at the University of Oklahoma whom the coaches trust to be on the field running a route in this moment. He is wide open, streaking to the end zone, has his defender beat by 2 steps, and if I can put this throw on the money, he's going to walk in for a touchdown to extend our lead to 24-7. In the moment, it's very easy to say, or I should say after the fact, it's very easy to kind of outline all of the thoughts that you think John Mateer is supposed to be thinking in the moment, but here's the reality. When all of that is happening in real time and everything is unfolding at warp speed out there on the football field, here's what John Mateer is thinking. See open receiver, hit open receiver, which is exactly what he did. I mean, he put that ball on Xavier Robinson. Maybe it's not a perfect throw, but it's a throw that hits him in both hands, man. That's a ball that has to be caught. And so
yeah, I agree.
Could Mateer have tucked and run and probably gotten 10, 15, 20 yards? Absolutely. But I am never going to second-guess a quarterback who makes the decision to try for it all and then holds up his end of the bargain. And he did hold up his end of the bargain. And so, look, there are many plays you could critique John Mateer on over the course of this football game. There are many decisions that you could second-guess him on. There are many plays that were there to be made and that he did not make. For instance, that throw to Giovanni Gibson in the first quarter where there's not a receiver in the same, or not a defender in the zip code, and he just airmails what should have been a walk-in touchdown for Gibson.
Yep.
It's moments like that where it's very fair to say, okay, John Mateer has to be better right there. But I struggle to find the rationale for taking a quarterback to task when in that moment he made arguably his best throw of the night, and a throw that if Xavier Robinson makes the play that he is expected to make and ought to make, Oklahoma leads 24-7, and 24-7 at that point, Grayson, especially with as close to halftime as it was at that point, that might have won the game for Oklahoma. The entire complexity of the game changes if that pass is completed. And I don't know if Alabama digs out of that 17-point hole.
Yeah, no, I agree. And I lost the text, but there was a texter on the text line that said situational awareness and situational football should have told Mateer not to throw the ball and to just run it. And I disagree. And it's what I started this show with, is that delivering the kill shot. I am 100% okay with your quarterback going for the jugular and trying to put Alabama away. Sure you would have been happy if he played it conservatively and ran it, got the first down, kept the chains moving and whatnot. But I will, especially with how that game was trending and given Oklahoma's inability to put teams away, if my quarterback's going to go for the throat and deliver at the same time a catchable ball, not a perfectly catchable ball, but a more than catchable ball as you would expect a Division I running back to be able to make. No question about that. I can't second guess it on the quarterback's part because he was playing to win the game. Mm-hmm. He was playing to put the team away and to give himself that much more of a comfortable lead. I cannot fault John Mateer for that. There are certain plays that we can, and we've talked about them in this first segment, and he's got to be better. But that play was not an example of that.
I had this conversation with somebody this morning as I was driving over here to Caven's group to do the show. If you think back to some of the great quarterbacks that Oklahoma has had over the years, and you try to imagine what they would have done in that situation, Kyler Murray's probably running that, and he's probably housing it because he's Kyler Murray.
Uh-huh.
Jalen Hurts, he's probably tucking it and running it because that's more his speed. Baker Mayfield's throwing that football, man.
Yep.
And so, it's just kind of, it's a stylistically influenced decision. John Mateer is a gamer. He's a gunslinger, man. If he sees an opportunity to go for the throat, he's going to want to go for the throat, and he did in that moment. And if Xavier Robinson catches the football, we're probably having a very different conversation right now. But
probably.
End of the day, there's one moment in time. It wasn't the moment that lost Oklahoma the football game, Grayson, because the reality of it on Friday night was they weren't good enough in any area. They weren't good enough on offense. They weren't good enough on defense. They weren't good enough on special teams. I don't know if that makes it easier or tougher to swallow, but that's how it went down Friday.
Man, what happened to the special teams? I mean, that was a disaster.
I don't know, man. Tate Sandell, it was pretty inconsequential, the couple field goals that he missed at the end of the game because it felt like that was too little too late anyway. But Tate Sandell misses his final 2 field goal attempts of the season. Grayson Miller just played an awful, and I feel bad for him. I feel bad for Grayson Miller because he'd been so good all season for Oklahoma, but he was terrible.
He was not good.
Brutal. And of course, that's really all there is in the realm of special teams for Oklahoma, because Oklahoma doesn't attempt to return kicks, and Isaiah Satania is generally good for a few yards here, a few yards there on punt returns, but occasionally he'll rip one off for a longer gain, but did not have a punt return touchdown in 2025, so I fell short on that prediction, unfortunately. But, yeah, Grayson Miller and Tate Sandell both had their worst performances of the season on Friday. And it just kind of felt like everything came crashing down in concert for OU in this football game, and that's how it ends, folks. The Sooners' 2025 season wraps up with a final record of 10-3. Their first berth in the college football playoff since 2019, but man, the Sooners have some sort of CFP demon that they just cannot exercise. 0-5 in the college football playoff. 405-651-3439 is the text line if you want to chime in, as so many of you are doing. It's Monday, folks. We're getting it all out. You're feeling a lot of emotions right now. Fire away at 405-651-3439. The show brought to you today and every day by Dorsey Jones GMC out in El Reno. Go check them out if you're in the market for a brand new vehicle this holiday season. GMC offers some of the most reliable trucks and SUVs on the road today, and Dorsey Jones complements that with their fantastic service. So much more ahead as we continue to roll along here on a Monday. This is Locked In on the Ref, the home of Sooner fans.
Locked In is brought to you every day by Dorsey Jones GMC in El Reno. Dorsey Jones GMC is family-owned and operated with a knowledgeable, low-pressure sales staff here to help you through the buying process and half-price oil changes on Saturdays. Visit dorsey-jonesgmc.com for more information.
'Tis the season for big drives, bright lights, and even bigger savings. Whether you're hauling home a fresh-cut tree or loading up for a winter getaway, the Ford F-150 STX is built to keep your holidays running strong. Right now at Confidence Ford of Norman, you can make one yours for $499 a month and enjoy 0% APR and 0 payments until March of 2026 on select models. The perfect holiday break. Visit us at 825 North Interstate Drive or online. Confidence Ford of Norman, a Cavender family dealership where confidence is Cavender.
Warren Cat is a proud sponsor of the KREF app and Sooner Athletics. We congratulate Sooner football on their success. Our new store off I-35 in Norman is ready to support your equipment needs. From industry-leading Cat compact machines to reliable lift and electric power solutions, we have rental, purchase, and finance options to get you to work quickly. Plus, world-class parts and service to keep you up and running. Visit us in Norman. Click on the Warren Cat logo in the app or search Warren Cat. Whatever the job, whatever it takes.
Are pests invading your home? Call Avenge Pest Control now and get your initial pest control service at half price. Avenge Pest Control is a family-owned and operated company, proudly serving the entire Oklahoma City metro area, Enid, Ardmore, and the Durant-Texoma area. They take care of all of our pest control needs here at the REF, and they offer free termite inspections and comprehensive services. With mice and rat season upon us, don't wait. Protect your home today. Get more info at AvengePestControl.com or call 405-693-2233. Avenge Pest Control.
At Armstrong Bank, your business isn't just business to us, it's personal. Our bankers are invested in your success, and we're ready to build a relationship that lasts. You deserve a strong financial partner by your side. Together, we can help make your business even stronger with products and services designed for your convenience. To learn more, visit a location near you or visit armstrong.bank. Armstrong Bank, strength runs in our family. Member FDIC.
This is Jake Aldrich, partner at Aldrich Teasdale. At Aldrich Teasdale, we worked for the world's largest insurance companies before we learned how they truly treat people and know that they are out to minimize or deny what has happened to you. When fighting them, you need a lawyer who knows their game plan and will be there to guide you every step of the way. From your medical treatment to the final resolution, Aldrich Teasdale will be by your side. Don't wait. Call Aldrich Teasdale today at 405-447-HURT. That's 405-447-4878.
Wrap up your year with good times and great rewards. Because Riverwind is OKC's best casino.
Feel the thunder when you play your best hand yet.
Catch your favorite entertainment at the Showplace Theater.
And enjoy the gift that keeps on giving when you use your wild card.
Every Friday in December, join us for your share of our $80,000 Winter Wishes giveaway.
Make your season brighter at your favorite place to play.
And happy holidays from Riverwind Casino.
My mom is a veteran and she was injured in the line of duty.
I hurt my leg in a training accident when she was only 2 years old.
She had 7 different surgeries over the span of 9 years, and there were tons of complications.
I'm doing much better now. I may have lost my leg, but I've gained so much. I got my joy back.
We got our mom back, thanks to DAV.
Every year, DAV helps more than 1 million veterans like Sandy get the health and disability benefits they've earned.
My victory is getting my life back.
Support more victories for veterans. Go to DAV.org.
What's up, Ref Army? Dari Noka here, the SEC Network, and your newest host here at the Ref, the home of Sooner fans. Spend your late mornings with me and Josh Helmer every weekday from 9 to noon as we talk everything Sooners, and I'll help you all keep tabs on what's happening in the rest of the SEC. The Ref is the home for the best coverage of anything and everything Sooners, and you can listen worldwide on the KREF app. Check us out in your Apple or Google Play store by searching for KREF and take us anywhere you go. That's the KREF app for the Ref, the home of Sooner fans.
I think I'll take this text as a compliment. This 580 listener on the text line says, Parker, I think this is the first time in a while you have made sense. If Mateer doesn't throw to Robinson, it's a different conversation. I personally think it was another game mismanaged by the coaching staff. Moment got too big, and we weren't led to play the way we have all year, and it starts from the top down. Yeah, look, again, it wasn't good enough in any aspect of the football game Friday night. That's why Oklahoma lost to Alabama. It wasn't one individual. It wasn't one play. It wasn't one moment. It wasn't one position group. It wasn't one coach. Oklahoma was not good enough in any area to win the football game, and they did not. Parker Thune, Grayson Singleton here with you here on Locked In, and the portal departures have started to fly as we are now almost 72 hours removed from the conclusion of the Sooners season. Grayson Singleton, this came as a surprise to some. Redshirt junior linebacker, rising senior linebacker, Kobe McKenzie, who has 1 year of eligibility left and probably would have played a lot for Oklahoma next year at that inside linebacker position, announced yesterday that he is entering the transfer portal. So he is out the door. As of right now, the only other Sooner that since season's end has announced his plans to depart the program is backup offensive tackle Isaiah Autry-Dent, who made that news public this morning. So Isaiah Autry-Dent, he only played 1 game in his 2 seasons at Oklahoma. I don't know whether the typical fan really views that as terribly consequential. I know he was a guy the program was excited about and figured could compete for a starting tackle role in the years ahead. But with Michael Fasusi and Ryan Foje playing as well as they have as of late, and they're going to get better, and they still need to. They both had plenty of freshman moments against some of the exotic looks that Alabama defensive coordinator Kane Womack created against them Friday night. But with Fasusi and Foje kind of firmly entrenched as your tackles of the future at Oklahoma, Isaiah Autry-Dent has elected to continue his collegiate career elsewhere. That's all fine and well. But Kobe McKenzie, man, I can understand why folks were a little bit taken aback with the news that McKenzie's hitting the portal.
Yeah, and because he's been such a staple in terms of leadership and in terms of continuity on this football team, it certainly caught me by surprise when I saw it yesterday. But as I think about it, ever since he came back from that groin injury, I mean, he was hardly playing. And I do find it funky, and this is just from my amateur eyes, with how Brent Venables rotates guys on defense, especially in critical moments. And there were times where I felt Kobe McKenzie should have been on the field in certain games when he wasn't. So to me, this is just a case of I've gotten my degree, I've got my future wife, I played here for the 4 years that I need to be here. Let me go get a change of scenery just because of how it ended this year and see if I can up my draft stock for next year, because his playing time was slashed once he came back from the injury. So to me, it's just one of those things where, hey, ran its course, time to go find a new spot. I will say this. If Owen Heineke does not get that extra year of eligibility, if Kip Lewis does in fact declare for the NFL draft, we've got some questions about this linebacker core. And I've got no doubt that they'll figure it out. But it's going to be a wait-and-see type of next couple of months until we actually see and realize what that linebacker room is going to look like next year, because your depth is about to be absolutely bludgeoned if all 3 of those things go the direction that they very well could.
By the way, we have a third transfer portal entry. As we're sitting here, this news just became public moments ago. Caden Helms has entered the transfer portal. So that's a guy, man, that makes you feel like the tight end room is going to look pretty radically different next season at Oklahoma as well, because Jaron Cannon graduates, Will Huggins graduates. Helms was a guy that had played a lot and played pretty well for Oklahoma down the stretch in 2025, but obviously a lengthy injury history there. He hadn't contributed a ton as a pass catcher, 5 catches, 35 yards, and 1 touchdown this season. He's going to have 2 years of eligibility left, but one area in which you felt like, okay, he does have a serious impact on the football game, Grayson, is he had emerged as a really, really capable blocker for Oklahoma. So, man, that feels like yet another position, in addition to linebacker now, where it feels like there's going to be a substantial amount of change in terms of what the rotation looks like in 2026, because, shoot, how much did Carson Kent play this season? Did he catch more than 1 or 2 passes? Carson Kent caught 3 passes for 26 yards this season. So that's going to be your leading, I should say your most productive returner next season for Oklahoma at tight end is Carson Kent. But, man, I will say I was not terribly shocked by the Kobe McKenzie news. I am a little surprised by the Caden Helms news.
And there's always going to be a surprise or two. That's just how it is in this world of college football. But you mentioned that the tight end room is going to look radically different next year. I would say the tight end room needs to look radically different next year. And I do take into account that Jaren Kanak had a really good year, third-team All-SEC and whatnot. Caden Helms emerged as a blocker. But, Parker, let me pitch this to you. Did it ever seem like the tight end, even though Kanak was good, Helms did some good things, did it ever seem like that position dramatically raised the ceiling of this offense? Did it ever seem like that position exploited something in the defense that otherwise was not exploited by the rest of the offense? To me, I guess what I'm saying is that room, even though at times it was productive, was never a big difference maker. And that, to me, is why this room does need to look radically different.
I think you're certainly right. And I don't know. I don't really get the sense that there are going to be a ton of outstanding tight ends in the portal market. But there is a tight end that hit the portal this morning that has a family connection to Oklahoma. Old Rocky Beers from Colorado State. I mean, I think 388 yards, 7 touchdowns this season for the Rams. So G5 transfer. I don't know how folks feel about that, but boy, it would make a lot of sense for Oklahoma to get involved with Rocky Beers.
It would. And, I mean, also the guy from Florida as well. It would make a lot of sense for them to get involved there.
They will be involved with him,
there you go. And that's good, because I do think that if they can get somebody, and I know they were excellent in the red zone this year, Oklahoma's offense, if they can get somebody who is a real red zone mismatch and somebody who also adds another dimension in terms of blocking for the run game, which my oh my, does that have to be better next year, I do think there are a couple of ways that you can go about this and that could actually heighten the ceiling of your offense. And while we're talking about the position now, since we're at the end of the year, Parker, what are your thoughts to close the year on Joe John Finley?
Oh, man. I mean,
this is how I know I asked a good question.
I mean, you got to give him a tip of the cap for Jaren Kanak's production this season. And I know there are some that just refuse to give him credit for what Kanak accomplished, and that's fine. But, man, it does kind of feel like it would be in both parties' best interest to move on from one another at a certain point.
Mm-hmm.
Just because the fan base, they hate Joe John Finley, man. They hate Joe John Finley. And it's unfortunate because this is his alma mater. Like, I don't wish this upon anybody. Didn't wish it upon Seth Luttrell. Certainly don't wish it upon Finley. But this is just the reality, man. He has an approval rating of near 0 amongst the fan base. And so he's going to be subjected to a lot of hullabaloo at the hands of the fans for as long as he is employed at Oklahoma, to the point where he deleted his Twitter account this past spring just to get away from all of the nonsense that he was encountering from fans and the burnerverse and all of his detractors on social media. So, man, I just don't think any job is worth your own peace of mind. And so I honestly hope for Joe John's sake that he's able to land softly and get a job somewhere else such that he and the program can part ways amicably and on good terms, and he can kind of transition to whatever the next phase of his career might look like. But man, I think if there's one on-field assistant that isn't back in 2026, I think it's certainly Joe John Finley.
Now, here's a very well-worded text, I think. A texter in the 615, JJF, Joe John Finley. Whoa, where did you go? There we go. Joe John Finley has to go, period. It's just awkward at this point. And if there is one way to describe it now, it is just a little bit awkward because it's kind of sitting in that medium of nobody really knows what to do with him. He's over here trying to run from the fan base. The fan base is refusing to give him credit for having an all-SEC position player. I'm kind of with you. At some point, maybe they need to part ways. Here's the question, though, Parker. Is it a guarantee Oklahoma gets better? at the position if you part ways with Joe John Finley just because it just seems awkward now? Because I don't think that's a guarantee. I think you're running a risk here of a little bit of a regression in terms of production.
Yeah, well, Joe John hasn't had great tight ends in general the last few years. But that's part of the job, right? Like, it's your job to build out that room with talented football players. And the recruiting hasn't been tremendous. As I've said before, I like Ryder Mix, and I like Tyler Ruxer. I think he's got 2 good ones coming in the class of 2026. But ever since he landed Helms and Jason Llewellyn back in the 2022 cycle, which I do believe that was his first full recruiting cycle as tight ends coach at Oklahoma, man, it's been really, really unspectacular in the recruiting department ever since. And, of course, there's nothing he can do, kind of like the conversation we were having about Jaden Ott, right? There's nothing he can do when you do land a big-time dude in Devon Mitchell, and then he can't get out of his own way once he shows up on campus. That's just kind of unfortunate luck of the draw, if you will. He did everything possible, and the whole staff did, to make it work for Devon Mitchell, and that kid just wouldn't be helped. So, to a certain extent, it's been some bad luck. Helms' injuries, too, repeated injuries, catastrophic injuries that kept him off the field almost entirely until 2025, this past season. That did not help, because I think Helms could have been a real game changer a lot sooner than 2025 if he had not incurred those injuries. But, man, with where Oklahoma's tight end room sits right now, it feels like they need, especially with Helms leaving, they need a little bit of an overhaul in the personnel department going into 2026. And does it matter a whole heck of a lot who the tight ends coach is in that sense if you're just bringing in a bunch of new guys? Because that feels like a total reset. You know, it feels like whoever's coaching that group in 2026, you're kind of giving that individual a clean slate as far as how they're judged, because they haven't coached any of the guys that are going to be heavily in the mix for playing time and for snaps at that position in 2026 anyway.
And here's the last thing I'll say on this, too, is with the recruiting aspect of everything, because you've got Ryder Mix and Tyler Ruxer about to come in 2026. You're in really good position with a couple of big-time players in the 2027 class. Does that affect the momentum you have at that position with young blood coming in if you were to part ways with the guy that has been actively recruiting them?
Yeah, you got to worry about that. Certainly got to worry about that. I don't know how much you worry if you're overhauling the room anyway, but that's always a potential consequence when you make the decision to move on from a position coach. A 405 listener says, it is literally not possible for the tight end room to regress from their top player being a converted linebacker that's too small for the position and has never played it before. Well, I mean, that dude was third team All-SEC, so clearly he didn't suck.
I was about to say,
but you're right.
Again.
Like the fact that a converted linebacker was Oklahoma's best option at the position instantaneously, and credit to Jaron Kanak for being able to do that, but even so, that is kind of an indictment on Oklahoma's tight end room as a whole.
It just kind of depends on if you want to look at it from a glass half full, glass half empty type of perspective.
405-651-3439. One final segment of Locked In coming up on the other side. You got questions, you got opinions, fire away on the text line, and we'll get to plenty of your feedback on the other side. This is The Ref, the home of Sooner fans. Keep it here.
Do you eat, sleep, and breathe Sooner football? We do too. This is The Ref, home of Sooner fans.
Speed can't be taught. You got it or you don't. Rose Hill Builders has it. Their game plan is efficient, and they do not cut corners for quality. Trust old coach here. Call Rose Hill Builders to get your approval process started today. Rose Hill Builders, the team you want on your side.
For the professional, it's not enough to just possess knowledge. That's why at GMC, we seek to refine it, to wield its power, to redefine its boundaries, while pushing the limits. And we put this knowledge to the test in every GMC Sierra by engineering each one to outperform your expectations. so you know you're getting precision and durability when you need it most. And that's what makes the GMC Sierra the truck worth knowing. We are professional grade. See your Oklahoma GMC dealers.
Insurance companies aren't in the business of saving you money, they're in the business of taking your money. Hi, this is Will Gosney with Yala Gosney Attorneys at Law. Have you ever had an insurance claim and thought, wow, I really am in good hands, or these folks truly are treating me like a neighbor? Well, that's where we can help. We'll deal with the stress, we'll get you back to your normal life. So save our number in your phone, and if you're ever hurt in a wreck, call or text us at 405-800-8080. It's 405-800-8080.
Winning in business means having the right teammate. Stride Bank's commercial banking experts are here with treasury management, lending, and cash flow solutions designed to help your business score big. From local startups to established enterprises, we've got the tools and expertise you need. Visit stridebank.com. Stride Bank, member FDIC. Stride Bank on your team since 1913 with Oklahoma roots and nationwide reach.
I'm Oklahoma Sooner quarterback John Mateer. My job is to move the ball down the field and get the Sooners across the goal line. If you've been injured in an auto accident, you need a pro to be the quarterback of your medical care needs. Dr. Martin Lopez and the OKC Car Crash Clinic are your premier teammates to help you on your road to recovery. Dr. Lopez is a specialty trained MD with decades of experience. Make your best play call and contact Dr. Lopez at 405-86-CRASH. That's 405-862-7274 or visit okccrash.com.
Feeling stuck in your current home? Now is the best time to make a move. Home Creations is making home ownership more affordable with low interest rate opportunities and special financing. Don't wait. Live like a champion today. Call Holly at 405-364-9999 to find your dream home.
364-9999, it's Home Creations.
I'm your football-obsessed best man. Physically, I'm right here. But mentally, I'm here. Yeah, I do. Come on, speed it up. When all eyes are on you, my eyes are glued to the game. Whoa! Touchdown, yeah! And if you didn't bundle your home and auto insurance, well, all of this could be tough to tackle. So get Allstate and be better protected from mayhem. Like me.
Call Josh Nelson, Allstate Insurance Agency, 405-360-9500 to be protected from mayhem.
Hi, this is Nettie from The Local, Norman's newest restaurant, and we invite you to come check it out. The Local features delicious Okie cuisine like the famous local salad, mouth-watering bone-in pork chops, or the Okie burger, plus fantastic drink specials throughout the week. You can also enjoy brunch on Sundays starting at 10 a.m. Happy hour all day on college football Saturdays, you can't beat that. We have 3 locations in the metro: Yukon, Mustang, and the newest one in Norman at 110 West Main Street. Or visit thelocalrestaurant.com.
Speed can't be taught. You got it or you don't. Rose Hill Builders has it. Their game plan is efficient and they do not cut corners for quality. Trust old coach here. Call Rose Hill Builders to get your approval process started today. Rose Hill Builders, the team you want on your side.
Parker Thune, Grayson, Singleton with you here on Locked In. Final segment before we turn it over to the guys on the rush to recap Oklahoma's devastating season-ending loss in the CFP on Friday nights. Hanging with all you on the text line of 405-651-3439. And before we get to some additional OU transfer portal talk, because that is going to be king over the next month or so, all things transfer portal will be all over it here on Locked In. I would like to discuss this week's nonsense. This is 0 days since our last nonsense, folks. We like to bring you this every Monday because over every weekend, there is always some nonsense afoot in the world of college football. And indeed, this was the case. This was actually this morning that the news broke, so yes, Grayson. Yes, circus music.
What you got for today?
Bill Belichick has identified the next offensive coordinator at the University of North Carolina.
Oh, man, I saw this.
And it is none other than Bobby Petrino.
Oh, Lord.
And North Carolina instantly owns the most giggity coaching staff in America.
Giggity.
Bill Belichick and Bobby Petrino on the same staff. Holy smokes. Co-eds, watch out. This is sitcom material here. Like, this is North Carolina is going to be college football's sitcom in 2026. They were arguably college football's sitcom in 2025. But man, in 2026, I would pay good money for a reality show focusing on whatever is happening within the walls of that UNC football program.
Mm-hmm.
Because, and look, Bobby Petrino, good football coach. Or at least he was once upon a time. Bill Belichick was the greatest football coach in the world once upon a time. But these are two guys that have seemingly lost their fastball. And let's just say they both have expressed significant interest in certain off-field ventures that have both served as active detriments to what they've done on the field.
Well done on you putting
with their
it that
respective
way.
employers. Thank you. Thank you. I had to navigate that in very it says, there's not a safe waitress in Chapel Hill.
That was pretty good.
Oh, Bobby Petrino, folks. Going to be Bill Belichick's offensive coordinator at the University of North Carolina. Do you see any world in which this ends well?
Oh,
Grayson?
hell no. I'm surprised we're running this back. I mean, it was so, like, I don't know if you heard all of the different things that were coming out of that program, but when I hear sources saying we really effed over these kids, and we were like a quarter of the way through the season when those came out, I mean, there's just no way you run this back. I am shocked that they're running this back again. And it seems like Bill is doing this thing that Bill did toward the end of his time with the Patriots, is that he's surrounding himself with people who think exactly like him. And that's going to, I mean, it already proved to be his downfall at the end of his time with New England. And it's seeming as if he's going to do it here. His general manager is Michael Lombardi. And now you're bringing in Bobby Petrino, which that combination is just going to be wild. I think at the end of the day, and I didn't think I would be saying this now, at the end of the day, it might just be time for Bill Belichick to stop coaching football. Because he clearly does not adapt. He clearly thinks that his own ways of doing things are going to get him where he wants to go. And time and time and time again, with last season being the most disastrous example of it, it's just proven to not be the case. And he continues to surround himself with people who aren't going to challenge him to change.
Also, this has to be the oldest staff in college football now, right?
That too, by a lot.
Because Belichick's in his mid-70s. What is Bobby Petrino cannot be any younger than 70, right?
No.
Holy smokes, he's actually a lot younger than I thought he was. He's 64. How is he only 64?
There's no way.
What in the world? But yes, folks, there you go. That is today's installment of 0 Days Since Our Last Nonsense. Bill Belichick and Bobby Petrino joining forces at the University of North Carolina. This can only end in spectacular fashion.
Two-star Puerto Rican Sooner on the text line. Manziel getting too drunk the night before he slept through that segment on College Game Day. Yeah, that's some nonsense there. And also, when did we get
UNC Director of Recruiting Johnny Manziel? That's the only piece that's missing at this point.
And also, let me say this too. When did we start expecting Johnny Manziel to act responsibly?
Yeah, that's never been the case. I'm not sure why anyone would have had that expectation in
like
2025.
I feel like that's on everybody else involved, not necessarily Johnny Manziel.
Yes, a 615 listener says, Pete Carroll, North Carolina defensive coordinator, coming soon.
Oh, Lord.
Oh, brother. So 3 portal entries this weekend, / today, thus far for the Sooners. Kobe McKenzie, Caden Helms, and Isaiah Autry-Dent, all portal bound. There will be more that we're expecting in the coming days. There will certainly be more. There's going to be a good bit of turnover on this roster, but again, Grayson, the bulk of it is going to be the program cycling out guys that they feel they are able and willing and ready to replace with higher ceiling contributors when the portal cycle kind of comes into full effect when the window officially opens in January.
I wanted to get to this text since we're on this topic. This is a good segue to this. Chris from Knoxville asked, if you and I are Jim Nagy, what are 3 roster decisions that we would make as it stands today?
Ooh, 3 roster decisions. That's pretty broad. That's pretty all-encompassing. Now, I will say, like Cody from Tulsa on the text line says, Ott should have been the first one in the portal. He's out of eligibility, folks. So he's not coming back. Fortunately, the Jaden Ott debacle is no longer. He will never wear the uniform again, and quite frankly, good riddance. But now that you have some guys graduate, I think the tally is they got 15 guys that are graduating and are out of eligibility one way or another. They're going to have some guys that hit the transfer portal of their own accord. They're going to have some guys that are compelled to enter the transfer portal because the program feels they are highly, highly replaceable. But if I'm Jim Nagy, I would say the 3 roster decisions that I'm making.
Okay, here we go. You want me to read the text verbatim, Parker? Because
yes.
it might make it easier. You are Jim Nagy and able to make 3 realistic decisions. What are you doing to improve the roster?
Okay. I am spending big money in the portal for a game-changing wide receiver.
Amen.
And that's something, that's something I expect the program to do anyway. And to that I said, I say good, yes, and amen, because that needs to happen. I'm glad that they're approaching it with that mentality and that mission this offseason because they do need a game changer at wide receiver. Isaiah Satania, as I understand, is leaning towards returning in 2026 as of now, and that's great. But Isaiah Satania, and correct me if I'm wrong here, Grayson, strikes me as an outstanding wide receiver 2.
Yes.
Probably not a wide receiver 1.
Yes, 100% agree.
So, spend big money for an elite, big-bodied portal wide receiver. Decision number 2, and I think we're starting to see this as well, especially with the news of Helm's departure, revamp the tight end room because it feels like the weak link. And I like the pieces coming in. We've talked about Ryder Mix and Tyler Ruxer, and I think Trinae Washington's a good player, but those guys are young. They can't be expected to contribute immediately. And so bring in some instant impact guys at tight end. And then the third thing for me, this might be a little more unpopular. Maybe it'll be super popular. I don't know. My thought is, regardless of whether John Mateer is back, regardless of whether regardless of whether Michael Hawkins is back, I should say, regardless of whether either of those 2 returns or goes portaling or, in Mateer's case, enters the draft, I want to see a quarterback competition going into 2026. Because I think with the struggles that Mateer had in 2025, and I do believe he can get better and will throughout the offseason, I think the fan base has to know that whoever is your starting quarterback in 2026 won that job outright and won it the hard way and wasn't just handed the role because he was the incumbent. So if Mateer goes to the draft, I want to see Oklahoma bring in somebody to compete with Hawkins. If Mateer comes back, as does Hawkins, I want to see a genuine open competition between those 2. If Hawkins decides to bail, I want to see Oklahoma bring in a quarterback who has the capability to step up and challenge Mateer for the starting job. Thoughts?
I disagree with nothing that you said. I really do not. Linebacker, I think you're going to want to get a guy at linebacker, especially with the way things are looking like they are going to trend. I agree with you 100% about a game-changing wide receiver. When Oklahoma's been at its best during you and I's lifetime, they have had a game-changing, bona fide top 3-round pick wide receiver. So They need to get back to doing that. Tight end room obviously needs to be revamped. I'm on board now with going to get a playmaking running back. And they didn't run the ball well. I know a lot of that can be put on the offensive line. There's some play calling and scheme that has to do with it. But I also didn't see a running back who can hit a home run and just make stuff happen on his own as well. And I know it's a little bit of a dependent position. I get all of that. But if you can, within reasonable financial means, get you a running back that can change the game and provide one or two spark plays, I think that's something that could really help Oklahoma out a lot next year. So I would just add that.
Final text from Shane in OKC. I just want to know if I'll ever feel happy again. Well, Shane, here's the great news. 3 days away from Christmas. Spend some time with your family, friends, loved ones over the holiday, and remind yourself that there is more to life than college football. And then come back to the ref after the holiday, and we'll all be college football degenerates together once again. And we'll all get through the offseason together. For today, we're through. For Grayson Singleton, I am Parker Thune. This has been Locked In. We'll see you tomorrow, same time, same place. The Rush is next here on The Ref.